everybody, it's Chrissy. Today I have a story time about something that happened this weekend. Long story short, I went to a mall audition and it did not turn out well at all. I didn't get to audition. I am not happy. I'm very upset. So about a month ago, sign-ups for these auditions, modeling and acting auditions, started popping up throughout the mall, and I swear you could not even walk a few feet without running into another kiosk. Applications were sat in these kiosk things, were probably about, I don't know, taller than me, like 6 feet tall or something, or maybe I'm exaggerating, I don't know. There were like applications and pins, and when you fill out your application, you slip it into the box. So basically the kiosk was a box for these auditions, right? So those have been around since February, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to do these auditions or not, because I've been to these before in my childhood and a lot of them just turn out to be scams. I wanted to see if this one was actually real or a scam, because I was really hoping that it wasn't, but I'll tell you about that later. I decided to do it. I put my application in, and a couple weeks go by. I'm like really hoping that they see my application and don't miss out on it. So I finally get a text this past Saturday to confirm a day or time. Like, they asked if I wanted to do it on Saturday or Sunday, which was yesterday. So I chose yesterday, Sunday at 2:30. Okay, so I show up on my audition time. I get there and I am so confused. So I'm like, okay, there's already models like walking back and forth on the runway. I'm like, okay, am I early? Did I miss my time? Because daylight savings time just started. Am I off by an hour? It turns out I was on time. My daylight savings time on my phone was right. Me and my mom are like wandering around for like a few minutes, wondering, where do I check in at? Not really a desk, but there was a table with two girls at it on this side, and then on the other side there was like another lady by the stage. My mom, she goes to the two girls at the desk and figures out that that's where I need to check in, so I did. And then after that, I just go back and sit down until they're ready to take talent auditions. And it turns out that that lady by the stage was the talent scout. I figure that out. I'm like, okay. So I wait a few minutes. I'm like, okay, when's this gonna start? I think we waited about like 20 minutes before it started or something. This talent scout starts talking. They gather all the talent in front of the stage because there were like some chairs, and then apparently later on I figure out that's where I need to sit. But anyway, I just go there and listen to her talk. She explains how the audition process goes, and then she explains on what their modeling search like looks for and who they found, blah blah blah. And like she mentioned that the actors from Marvel, she's worked with them through this modeling search thing, and I don't know if that's true because it's so easy to say that you're a talent scout who has worked with so-and-so. It's so easy to name drop in this industry. You don't even know if someone's telling the truth or not. And at this point, I'm like, oh yeah, right. I don't believe you. I mean, it would be awesome if you did work with Chris Evans, but you didn't, I'm sure. But anyway, I'm being salty. So anyway, so she's explaining that if you pass this audition, then you will be selected to come back and do a photo shoot. And then they will send those photos to the next round of auditions. And I'm like, seriously? Is this what this is? So basically, that's when I find out that she's a talent scout and not an agency. Oh my god, I was just like so pissed off because before this, I wanted everybody to take this little tiny paper booklet. It was probably about like this big, very small, and a pen, because she wanted us to write down notes. I didn't take one because I had a feeling this was bullcrap. So all I did was listen. Basically, she wanted us to write down like what we needed, like notes for the next audition if we happen to pass this round. Like, for the photo shoot, what kind of clothes to wear, like what color of clothes to wear, and that you needed to bring a suitcase of one sporty outfit, one casual, and one classy. And that you can't wear beige or white because the backdrop of the photo thing was white, so it wouldn't show up very well. I was like, that makes sense. I mean, I do videos, so, you know, I can understand. So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I was thinking, well, I really don't need to write this stuff down because I've known about this stuff for a while because I've done auditions before, and I kind of pretty much like was like memorizing everything she was saying anyway. But it probably didn't look good that I didn't have a book and I wasn't writing it down, but that wasn't a big deal to me. So what she said next was like starting to confuse me. That part of the mall is just so wide and open that her microphone was echoing and it was hard to understand her. Right before the auditions began, I couldn't understand what to do. I was just so upset and frustrated and confused that I didn't even realize that she said that the auditionees need to go behind the backdrop thing that I mentioned earlier. She was saying, when we call your name, then you need to walk behind there. Well, they listed off a bunch of names. This is where I get pissed off. So, they didn't mention my name, okay? They claimed they did, but they didn't. So basically, they name off all these names, and instead of saying Kristen, they say Christian. My name is Kristen. So when they're saying the name Christian, I think that they're saying someone else. I don't know the other models' names, okay? I didn't know anyone there except for my mom, right? So this whole time, I'm waiting for them to, like, call my name, like, did they mean to say Kristen, or are they talking to someone else whose name is Christian? So the auditions go on and on and on. Everybody does their little part, and my name never comes up. Apparently, I was supposed to be back there, and they did mean to say Kristen when they said Christian. I was so mad, okay? Because even though I wasn't too serious about this audition, I still wanted to try and see how far I would go and to see if it was real. Later on, after everyone's done their auditions, the auditions are over. I mean, it was the last one of the day, I think. So I go to my mom. No, I don't go to my mom. Me and my mom are like sitting in the chairs the whole time. Even though I was supposed to be back there, I didn't realize I was supposed to be back there. And we were like, do they mean to say my name or Christian? She kept telling me, well, why don't you go up there and ask? And I was like, well, I can't because the talent scout is busy. She needs to watch the other talent. If I interrupt her, she's just going to miss out on the talent. You know, I don't want them to do that. After the audition, I was ready to go. Mom went up and asked her why I wasn't called up. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to bother her. And she was just convinced me to talk to her anyway. So basically, I don't even remember what I said to her. My name wasn't called or something. And she said, you missed your audition or something. I don't know, the exchange was so fast. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I missed my audition then. I didn't even bother to like explain to her that you guys messed up my name and I thought you meant someone else. That was my experience with that company. I don't even know what the name of that company was. And to the whole grand prize of this thing is to be signed on to a top agency. They didn't even say the name of the agency. So that's another red flag. Like, if I don't know the name of the talent search or the name of the agency that you're supposed to be signed on to that you win, I don't want any part of it. You know, it just sounds really sketchy to me. My name is easy to pronounce. It's like straightforward, Kristen. You know, like how do you get Christian out of that? And she was like, oh, you just missed your audition. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you don't have to be a snob about it. Whatever, that was my experience with that audition yesterday. If they ever come back, I am not going to try again. That really sucked. I'm sure I left a lot out because it all happened so fast, even though it took about like an hour. It felt like longer, but I was so done after I realized that I missed my audition. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and get lunch because I hadn't eaten yet. And then I'll have coffee later on. And I just needed to, like, relax when I got home. So that was my experience this weekend. That was my first story time. I wish I could remember every little detail, but I don't. But that was basically the gist of it and the majority of the story. Whatever. You know, I mean, I've got stuff to do online. I do voice acting online anyway, and you know what, I can take my own pictures. I can make my own backdrop and take professional pictures myself. It's not hard to do. So whatever. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.